This is the Pilot's News Briefing Podcast. I'm Frank Daniels. With me today is Matt Lamb from the Pilot's Newsroom, bringing us the latest news in Moore County. And this news came to you late last night, right?
Yeah, we were meant to be here talking about a school board construction committee story, but I got word last night that we've kind of got a bit of a election season fracas here. Incumbent Moore County Clerk of Superior Court Todd Maness has kind of rekindled a legal dispute with the incumbent District Court Judge Beth Tanner. But this time, he's got an additional defendant, and it's his Republican rival Deborah Duerring, with claims of libel and slander. So Maness via his attorney Michael Porter contends in this new lawsuit that Judge Tanner sent a series of text messages to Senior Resident Superior Court Judge Michael Stone, alleging that Maness kind of failed to initiate the process for a jury commission, and then requested that the County Board of Commissioners pass a resolution to eliminate the jury commission in Moore County. Mind you, a jury commission is a panel of three that periodically get together and they develop a master juror list. Those are folks that are, registered voters or folks that have, licensed drivers.
Basically, they are tasked with making sure that a pool
they put the pool together
is constitutional, right?
Yep. And in addition to the allegations against Tanner, Maness contends that his current Republican primary candidate, Deborah Duerring, during a candidate forum at the Moore County Republican Women's Club, repeated those allegations.
Which was, 2 days ago?
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing in and of itself. I attended off the clock just to kind of get a read on some of the school board candidates, and I thought, maybe somebody says something interesting, and we felt like it wasn't fair to report on an exclusively Republican event, and that maybe down the line, if like the League of Women Voters were to put on a candidate forum with the rest of the candidates, then we could kind of compile the two and put together a good story. But it just so happened that I was in a position to, witness Miss Duerring's her stump speech. So Maness is seeking compensatory and punitive damages in excess of $25,000. But I think the most important thing here is that there's a pretty significant history between these two folks. I call it interpersonal turmoil in the courthouse. 2 years ago, Judge Tanner issued a show cause order asking Todd Maness to explain why he should not be held in criminal contempt for some problems that she outlined with the administration of his duties. And it was all centered around court files and access and the availability of assistant clerks and scheduling cases. And then Maness filed off a lawsuit via Michael Porter in Fayetteville, his attorney, against both Tanner and retired Superior Court Judge Jim Webb, that they were ultimately engaging in an effort to have him removed from office, claiming abusive process and slander and conspiracy and infliction of emotional distress. Now, that case was ultimately dropped, and it seemed to be settled. And
you did, if anybody's curious about that, you did extensive reporting on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think
you can go back on thepilot.com and find that.
I probably wrote 10 stories on that situation. And then, right after the case was dropped, the county's two leading judges, Judge Stone and Chief District Court Judge Don Creed Jr., they issued an administrative order, and it was kind of the law of the land. Hey, this is the way we guys are going to hold ourselves as professionals up here in the Moore County Courthouse.
You said in your story that administrative order, which kind of tied the bow onto that scenario, happened about 2 years ago.
2 years
exactly.
ago. Almost 2 years to the day. I was sitting down writing last night, and I thought, wow, this administrative order came out 2 years ago. So the latest lawsuit, defendant Tanner attempted to smear and defame plaintiff for almost 3 years, invoking the previous lawsuit in this current filing. And that defendant Duerring will apparently say anything to include outright lies in hopes of defeating the plaintiff come the primary. And so, the crux of this all is revolving around the jury commission and this series of text messages between Tanner and Stone. I'll just read you some quick excerpts from the text messages. Have you been following the county commissioners and the maybe mess by the clerk? Tanner writes to Stone. Apparently, whatever was supposed to happen with the jury commission did not happen. Todd asked the commissioners to pass a resolution to dissolve it. All other 99 counties have been operating with it fine. It's state law. And then Tanner contends that some folks from outside of the county said, "Hey, what's going on in Moore County? We're hearing this kind of scuttlebutt about what's going on with the jury commission." And she goes on to say, "For jury selection, we have a jury commission report in each county. It makes sure that the pool is constitutional. The work of that commission is started by the clerk. It wasn't started. The report was done, but it was not reviewed appropriately by each of the members of the jury commission." Maness.
And that's the end of that excerpt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tanner goes to Stone, and Stone says, "Hey, I'm not apprised of the situation, but I'll conduct an investigation." According to Maness's filing, the investigation came back clean. Hey, no issues. There is an interesting excerpt to this. On December 1st, the County Board of Commissioners unanimously passed a resolution, and I'll read that to you in quotes because I think it's important. Requesting the North Carolina General Assembly to establish a legislative study commission to examine and make recommendations regarding the abolishment or improvement of jury commissions. Keep in mind that Maness is not mentioned in the minutes or the resolution as having been the impetus for that decision to solicit a study, but it seems timely. And, the filing goes on to say that all the allegations are false, that Judge Tanner ignored the chain of command was outlined 2 years ago in the administrative order, and that Duerring just kind of echoed the sentiments that were espoused by Tanner, but she did it in a public forum. It was a packed house at Assembly Hall in Pinehurst, full of voters, full of candidates. And I've got, again, another little excerpt from what Ms. Duerring said that night. In quotes, "I think there are issues with the way that jury selection has been handled, allowing a non-timely, it's a delay for our jury trials and a delay for selection of grand jurors. I also think that there's a delay when it comes to handling estates. That's where the clerk has the most jurisdiction." She kind of deviates there. And Maness's filing says she knew these allegations were false, or she should have known they were false, and that as a clerk herself in Chatham County, she should be able to have she has the tools at her disposal to find out that these allegations were false. And so with that, again, Maness is seeking $25,000 or more in attorney's fees and a jury trial. And I spoke with Maness's attorney last night, and he said Beth Tanner has continued her campaign of defamation against Todd Maness going on for years, and he's standing back up for himself. And Duerring has repeated the defamatory remarks. So I reached out to Judge Tanner and Miss Duerring and get any feedback. It's my understanding that Duerring has procured counsel, and I'll have an update to the story in pretty short order when I get some feedback from the attorney.
Well, then that will be available on thepilot.com. So if, as you update, you can check back for those updates at Matt's story. But if you have questions for him after you read the story, you can send an email to mlamb@thepilot.com. That's MLAMB@thepilot.com. You can email me questions at frank@thepilot.com, FRANK@thepilot.com. And that's the latest news in Moore County.
Stay warm, Frank.
Working on it.